Once the initial Moorish conquest had been achieved, you have a movement of so-called Arabs into Spain, led by Musa. And once again, Musa is the head. I'm going to pick it up. Musa is the head of the Arab armies that had ordered the conquest of Northwest Africa. Now, although the Africans had achieved the greatest victories, they were given the least rewards. They were given the worst allotments of land, and they were treated, no doubt about it, in a second-class manner. Tariq himself is reported to have been publicly rebuked and was struck by a whip by Musa.
Hootie, can you repeat that again, brother, please? If we're going to concert.
I heard what Hootie said.
I've seen Malachi in 3 different sizes. He went from 5'7", and he went to the size of about an 8-year-old child, and he was playing with the children. And I've seen him as taller than me. I've seen that with my eyes.
So wait a minute, man. Hold up. So what God did he invoke to help him do that?
I'm 6'5" now. I used to be 6'2", I'm 6'5" now.
So you see him change sizes from height ranges from like 4.5 feet to 6.5.
Yeah, not just change size, but the whole body structure of like a child, like an 8-year-old child, and he was playing with the children as their size. He was their size, and he was playing with them as their size. I saw that.
Yeah, no, but it ain't the people, right? Let me help you out. I'm gonna help y'all out real fast in some language, and I know his audience is listening. Do you know the first language ever? Do you know the first language, either one of y'all?
Well, brothers and sisters, brace yourself. You know, I don't know the first language ever. Apparently, he knows it. Let's listen.
Yes, baby language.
Baby language, right?
So baby language is a language now? All right, okay. If it's okay. Well, it's a language, we can learn it and we can speak it, right? Sounds pseudo, but it's okay.
Baby language is the first language. It's Gaga Goo, like Lady Gaga, Gaga Goo, baby speak. Who else speaks like that? Who else talks? Well, whoever this is, who you are, let me see your face first. Or you're not coming on, you can just sit back. So Gaga Goo is numbers, basically. Like most animals, numbers, hand signals and stuff like that.
Is it serious right now? Gaga Goo is numbers? You know, there's one thing I forgot, but you know, he did say that more means navigator, you know what I'm saying? You know, so if it's a nationality, you know, navigators is not supposed to be in a nationality, you know. Anybody can be a navigator, you know. It just takes a little training, you know. You don't need to earn a PhD to become a navigator, but it's okay, you know what I'm saying. Let's listen to the first language, Gaga Goo.
Gaga Goo, it's numbers. Babies talk to one another. They talk. They're numbers. The other
they sure do,
right? They know what they communicate with each other. They be talking with each other. You notice that? They be sitting there talking to each other. You know what I mean? Like, we don't know what the hell they're saying. The other language, if y'all not familiar with this, and if you...
It's a language. How come we don't know what the hell they're saying? So it's an undeciphered language then, I guess.
You can probably find it. You should look that up too. Now, don't try to steal what I'm saying because it's going to be very hard. Give me 1 second.
Another joint. Hold this stuff right here. Another joint right here. My Ashwa Quake, Freemasonry, the origin of Freemasonry. Now look at me right quick. I think Ashwa crazy. This message is for you. Ashwa don't like nobody getting his information out, but this is not this Negro information. In the street. This right here belongs to all of us, man. We are Ashwa crazy. Stop calling me, asking me if I'm selling your tape. Hell no, I ain't selling your tape. Whenever you go into ancient Egypt, our ancestors got that information for us, not for you. You sound like nigga that said Columbus discovered America. You didn't discover this. I remember watching one of the tapes, brother, When you keep calling people, talk about this is your information. This is not yours. It's not yours.
You a slick nigga, selling all my DVDs over the years. How much money you made off of me, Sonetta?
But this is not this Negro information.
Is you like you a schizophrenic or something, nigga? Something wrong with your brain, Sonetta. Why you can't just be right? You just can't be right, nigga.
Now that being said,
the only time when we don't have a beautiful experience is when we fucking with you. So what do? We chop your motherfucking head.
You ain't got no proof, nigga, that I went to the hospital and they all told me I had AIDS. I went to like 4 hospitals, and the hospitals was telling me that I had AIDS. AIDS.
Shaka. I don't give a fuck what Ramesses said. I'm Sonetta. Ramesses was just another man, bro. I don't worship them motherfuckers. I don't give a fuck what Ramesses said. I don't give a fuck what Akhenaten said.
As a people, I hate Africans because of what they did to my people.
I don't believe in old Egyptian gods. I don't believe in that stuff. I wasn't even taught that bullshit, right? I'm the one who bangs against the Comedics. I bang against them and they can't get through me because the gods that they worship, right, were born from another group of thinking, right? So you can't come with me with no goddamn Heru or no other that bullshit. Show it to me in the primary, show it to me in writing, show it to me in the period. You're making the bullshit up.
Polite, if let's say Polite is innocent, he could be a partial victim. You know, maybe he broke up with the girl. Who knows, you know, what happened in that instance. But the only true victim is that girl. So I think that's what we need.
And I think that's being a hypocrite because you have a member of ISUPK who was locked up for child molestation, for rape, or whatever it is, and y'all still support him. Here it is, Polite have not been found guilty, and y'all wouldn't support him. See the double standard?
What
you have a member
standard?
in ISUPK, which y'all support him financially. You put money on his books. But Polite have not been found guilty, and y'all
This how I know you taking a strong. This how I know you take a strong position of Polite's innocence, regardless of waiting till the verdict come, because you keep bringing up the same exact thing, even though I've explained the position dozens of times. How many times do I have to explain the same exact position? So in that instance, the brother took a lot of.
Even if you explain it, it still remains the same, though, Captain.
No,
you still support
what remains the same?
Guilty.
But what remains the same, though?
That he was found guilty.
Definitely was found guilty. But he also
Polite was not found guilty.
I'm not saying don't support him, though. Right.
Brother, you said if the brother come on my channel, you done.
Wait.
And you know you got me, man. You got me. I said, all right, brother.
That's right.
All right,
but what?
Okay. Sister Sacred Infinite, feel free to speak, sister.
Peace and blessings to you, Shaka, and peace and blessings to everyone on the panel and everyone in the chat. I just wanted to give my take on things as far as the gossip in the conscious community. What I want to say, Shaka, is it seems as if, you know, when you shed light onto people's dirty, devilish things that you do, it seems like nobody wants to deal with it. I feel like these things, people should be put in the hot seat. We should be dealing with it as a conscious community, correcting it and say that we don't approve of it instead of terming it gossip or, oh, that's old news. How can anything ever be old news when people are constantly being introduced to the conscious community? Everyone didn't arrive at the same time, you know, and not only is it some of the stuff isn't old, some of this stuff is actually happening right now, and it is a conversation, even if it's tough, that needs to be had.
All right.
Hotep Senu Hena Senut Itiren Ishakandugu Kemet. I hope you're doing well. The title of this live stream is Who Are the Most Pseudo People? I want to check that you can hear me loud and clear, but if you are in the place to be, then let me know in the chat. Bear with me, I need to change screen. As you can see, I'm using my mobile phone, so I want to make sure that the sound is loud and clear. Sounds good on my end. Well, if you miss that live stream, it's fine. Right now, it's going to be what, 7 a.m. in New York? It's 1 p.m. on my end. You see the intro, which is already telling. We have a guy who said that he saw Malachi York shapeshift to the size of a 8-year-old boy. He said he saw that with his own eyes. Well, we have a pseudo so-called Moorish teacher who's telling us about the world's first language being Gaga Google. We have a butler who bangs on Kemetic people, and he name drops many elders who are dealing with this Kemetic information. Ed Rabuna is in the place to be today. We have those ISUPK Hebrews or Light confirming that they financially support people who are convicted of child molestation. I even have a moderator or former moderator, but she was at the time of the House of Consciousness, who said that yes, we should address these things. We should say that we are against it, but unfortunately, as you have seen, when it comes to the shrine of Ma'at, to Barrio Sase, they're not stating that they are cool with it, but it's not the only people around who's cool with it. It's mainly this whole so-called conscious community. They know about the rapists and the pedophiles. They support them. They defend them. And they act like it has nothing to do with the information, even though we know that some people have been teaching that it's okay to rape women. You know, I've been playing this long intro with the GMS dude, and those are Hebrew Israelites. And that's the teaching of many Hebrew Israelites. If it is not the teaching of Hebrew Israelites, then they would stand up and say that they are against that. You haven't seen that, you know. Then lately we have the oh snap. Hold on. I'll be right back. I'm back. I'll take the road now. Just 1 second. I don't know so. Bear with me. Okay, take that way. Go that way then. Yeah, well, lately, you know, we had this sucker snake. Let us know that one of those child molesters, and I'm talking about convicted child molesters. I'm not talking gossiping or slandering. I'm talking about officially in the court of law, legally. Got to find out that this is, you know, family member, one of these guy on the race, okay, and he was capping for the dude, defending the dude, making excuses. Oh, I've shared the link as you can see. If we have some early birds, of course we have, you know, Track Fury and Funky Dagger Squad, who is dead but trying to resurrect now. It'd be better if the dude just says that he's a Christian apologist on a mission. But when you are seasoned, you don't need people to just come forth all the way. Listening to them is enough. Now we have the butler, Reggie, a known trader, a known pseudo as well, who said that Heru is Greek and that Ma'at is a bird, capping for a scammer, capping for a person that steals from the community, that steals from men and women, that lies about his credentials. Oh, snap. Can't go that way. So, like I was saying, even if you don't catch this live stream, feel free to let us know in the chat, man. Because over just a few months, I was given so much stuff, and it's amazing. And there will be some more. Now, one thing that's funny though, I've seen Smash doing a live stream talking about scammers in the community, and he addressed Polite. I didn't watch it, but I saw the title and I saw the part where, as I was live streaming, I showed the screen. You know, I saw the part where he was, you know, dealing with Polite, showing the video where Polite was claiming that he had some business with some containers or something. You know, and the funny thing is that Polite, that was his dude, that was his brother. They even did they came in on trial together. That same thing that Butler Reggie had the nerve to say that before that event, people were not talking about Kemet, which shows that the dude has some mental issues. Because before we even knew about the Butler Reggie, we knew very well that Southsudin said he was representing for Kemet. And he introduced Kemet to a lot of people, just like Dr. Ben introduced Kemet to a lot of people before him. So he was all good then. And the situation with the container, that's a few years old. So why wait in 2023 to talk about it? I know there's a and the same people who are capping for the HOK now, they will switch, man. They will change their narratives. It's gonna be funny. On the other hand, when it comes to Bambata, there is an ongoing trial, or let's say a court case. It's better to say court case. So we'll see what the judge will say. Because on the one hand, you have some people who try to act like, okay, we deal with the scholarship alone. Well, that business, container business / scam, that's not scholarship. And it's interesting when people decide and want to act like they make the rules. And they decide, well, truth and what should not be talked about. The same sister who said that we should be talking about this demonic stuff and all that, that people should be put in the hot seat and all that. I haven't heard from her in a minute, so I don't know what kind of threatening or intimidation she may have faced. I don't know if she's still over there, but it's all good. We need solid people. The narrative will change. If you look at all the group of people, they don't highlight individuals as being scamming and raping and so on. Harvey Weinstein was very powerful, but his ways were so messed up. He was hit with the law. Then there's a funny talking point that I talked about probably a couple of times. Some people who tell me, well, you've been on that panel. Yes, I've been on my panel. I didn't know all the things that I've discovered in about 6 months. But all these guys, they knew about these things for years. It didn't bother them. So that talking point is amusing to me. And some people made movies produced by Weinstein, or movies that Weinstein had some part in, that he played a part in. So it's like me saying to all those actors, or even the actresses that were victim of rape, well, you playing in this movie. That's how ridiculous, man. But I've been telling you for years that, you know, the Pan-Africans, for the most part, well, many of them, let's say, defend rapists and pedophiles. And they also defend scammers. Hold on, bear with me. All right, I'm back. And it's a shame because people don't have any character. And we're talking about, you know, grown men. You know, I remember when I started my website, I was in my 20s, man, early 20s. And 20 years later, you see some grown men, some of them grandfathers, making excuses and actively supporting and defending rapists and child molesters. And that's something. Now, if we leave these behaviors to the side for a minute or two, the information is pseudo. Now, you see the brother Tahuti? That's the guy you hear talking about, you know, he saw Malachi York, you know, shapeshift, and his whole body structure became the same as an 8-year-old boy. I've seen some people, few people left some comments talking about he doesn't deal with York anymore. Well, when I say a few, it's not like many, but, and I'm like, all right, I never claimed that he's following York. But even if he's no longer following York, he made that statement publicly. Did he ever recant? Because that's the problem. He said that he saw it. So he was a follower of York at one point. I don't even know if he was still a follower of York when he said this pseudo stuff. But even if he's no longer a follower of York, he still said that he saw that. So is he now saying that he didn't see it anymore? That he had too much to drink? You know? I didn't say it. I didn't look for it. It's online. He said it. Live on air. Wasn't a secret recording. There's one thing I told you about regarding Bobby Hemming. An allegation was made about one of his statements. Well, actually, two strange allegations. One having to do with chakra, anal activation, something like that. Another one, something to do, in that realm also. Damn. Okay, go ahead. We don't know how to drive. I'm telling you, man. But something to do with an alien, And I asked, and that was years ago. I asked, you know what I'm saying? Because it is said that he made the statement publicly. I thought we had passed the pseudo era. Because I've been around for a good 19 years, so that's 2 decades, roughly, more or less. And many have missed or have been spared the Moorish/metaphysic era. And that was something, man. Imhotep University TV is a place to be. He's an early bird. I guess people get ready for work. That era of the Moorish/metaphysician, it was something, man. That's the era that many of us who've been there, followed. We used to label it the astral projection era. We had grown men talking about astral projection, man. And we thought it was over. I thought it was over, but apparently it may come back. So along the astral projection dudes, we had people talking about, crystals. The lady I told you about who said that, you can basically grow an arm back, was cut off, just like a reptile. She made the statement publicly, and I think I shared it, I may still have it in my archive, but I think I shared it. I think I played it. And the funny thing is that there's so much stuff that eventually you forget. You actually forget. Like young Pharaoh, I forgot that he said he has to project all the time. Then when he came back to me, I actually played it for the record so people can hear it. It's not an allegation. Yeah, the people who used to talk about cars, tarot, Of course, the alkaline water, that was very big. You also have people who are dealing with numerology. Some people still do. So with the numerology, man, there's so many possible combinations. And I remember one time there was a guy who was, of the Moorish type. I talked about that example several times. He was asked if he believes in reincarnation, and he broke down the word. And I forgot what he said for re, but then he said car is a vehicle. And then nation, I don't know if he said, like a nation, a group of people. But I was like, man, they are deep with it, man. The linguistic acrobatics and linguistic gymnastics. Many Moors used to say that Islam means I self, Lord and Master. A few others will say that it means I self, Law and Master. With Allah, we have the Asiatic black man, whether they are NOR or NGE, who are famous for having said for years that Allah is arm, leg, arm, head. And recently I've shown you how in France, some Asiatic black men wannabe repeated that stuff. Funny thing is that instead of saying head, he said hair at the end. So it was a comical touch. And some with the word atom They will break it down into Allah, the original man. I thought we were past that era, you know. I thought it was something on the past. People realize, man, you can't be making up stuff like that. But it looks like we're getting back into this, man. Now, one of the saddest things out of all this mess of these child molesters, rapists, scammers, is that we have white supremacy. Well, people who talk about the black folks acting like they are doing the work, fighting white supremacy, but they are white supremacists themselves, or they defend white supremacists. We have some so-called Israelites who are pseudo with their origin in their 12-tribe chart, and they have non-black members who disrespect black people. And lately, we have this Moorish guy who showed proudly that he took pictures. Wait, hold on. Popo behind me. Well, shown with pride that he went it's like a kind of like a pilgrimage, you know? When people go to a place that's of importance, the dude took pictures in front of the statue of Ibn Khaldun, a known negrophobic person, who said that black people are similar to dumb animals, that black people cannot be considered human beings. And that's something. Wab Funk wrote, LOL, sun gazing. What does that mean, sun gazing? But feel free to interact, though, you know. Do you know of any people who are more pseudo that the House of Conscious Mess, the rape okay? Have you heard or seen anything more pseudo that the things we have discovered lately? The people coming up with that host of these black Moors or black Israelites, black Moses, black Joseph, black Jesus, seeing people shape shift. Have you heard more pseudo than Garfield Reed and his invisible bachelor's degree in history? Mr. Zip It Down on the track. So the dude took some pictures in front of his statues of Ibn Khaldun, has the nerve to defend Ibn Khaldun, acting like he wasn't racist. And as you have seen, if you bring that up, then he's labeling you stupid. Or he's saying that what you said sounds stupid. If it's not white supremacy at its finest, then what is it? Wab Funk wrote, arm, leg, arm ahead, LOL. Yeah, Nation of Islam members and 5%ers are very famous for saying that. I think in the song T.O.N.Y., Top of New York, by Capone and Noriega, one of the nicest beats that hip-hop has ever heard. I think we hear this, you know, arm legger, you know. But, you know, Dr. Wesley Muhammad, I heard him say that, you know, one day during a radio interview. See, back in the days, the way we have the live stream is the way we used to have those radio broadcasts, radio shows. So on one of them, he came and, you know, he said, you know, I'm leg, I'm ahead. I mean, he ain't gonna deny it. He used to be a 5%er. He used to be a 5%er. So these are the kind of things that we're using to reach our people. You know, Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad was a great orator. One thing I did not agree with is his claim of the Kaaba having anything to do with the Ka and the Ba of Kemet. But you can't blame him too much, knowing that the linguistic acrobatics and linguistic gymnastics was popping over there within the nation of Islam and the Asiatic black men in general. But with all due respect, it is not accurate to try to make a correlation between the Kaaba, where we have the black stone in Mecca, Saudi Arabia, and the Ka and the Ba of the Medinature of ancient Egypt, were Kemet. He's on tape saying also that he's a Moor. And Dr. Wesley Muhammad also is on tape saying that he claims Moor. He also said he claims Israelite. Not on several occasions, but in the same instance. So we have some people like that who are transformers. As a matter of fact, Black Jesus Minister says, he said, I mean, you know, you heard it. We had a discussion. He said, he's all of the above and more. He said Christian, Muslim, Kemetic. Okay, not all of the above. I don't think he said more, but he said Christian, Muslim. I forgot if he used the word Hebrew or Israelite. I don't think he used the word Jew. And he said Kemetic. He said so many titles. It's not possible to be all of this at the same time. But we have some people who are Asiatic black men at heart. And as long as you claim blackness of these individuals, of this population, they'll rock with you. There's a brother who's been very famous for claiming this Asiatic black man stuff. And just like with the Moors, when it comes to proving or substantiating or giving evidence for their claims, you don't have jack. Oh, I didn't see I have a guest. It's Mr. Dredson. Oh, dang. I was about to put you on. Feel free to come back. I'm sorry, I don't know how long you were there, because as I can see I'm driving, so I'm focused on the road. And just when I was about to put you in, and I don't know what happened. It was yesterday, I think he came through. And it's not even Mr. Dredson, I think it's MF Dredson. But feel free to come back. Sorry, I didn't notice. I don't know how long you've been waiting. But if somebody wants to get on the panel, you'll have the link here. I want to hear from you. Remember, I really like the interaction. And particularly if I share the link, I'm expecting some callers that are welcome. Even if you disagree with me, it's fine, no? I'm ready for anybody that disagree with me. Even if people don't like me, I don't mind. As long as it remains cordial, you know. There's no point in us, cussing each other out for like 20 minutes. So if anybody has any smoke, I'm ready for it too. That's what the youngins say now, I want all the smoke. Through dialogue, we will get some clarity. I don't know if you can hear me loud, How's the sound now? Is it loud enough? Does it sound loud enough? Let me check it then. I'll be right back. Okay, it's okay. I have the guest now. That's Jay Heru. What's up, brother? How you doing?
Peace, Shaka. What's going on, man?
Oh, I'm chilling, brother. Just felt like talking to the family, asking who's the most pseudo. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, man. Just trying to get my day started.
All right. What's on your mind, brother? Do you know any other pseudo people? You have any comments? Feel free.
Well, I was thinking about something, man. I was listening to you talking. I was thinking about something, right?
Yeah, what's that, brother?
Now, we talk about, Sarnetta a lot, right? And I was sitting here thinking, I'm gonna ask this question. We have a lot of these pseudo scholars with pseudo doctrine and different things like that, right? And I've been on other platforms, so I'm not gonna say Sonetta is the only one, but as far as like a larger platform, to me, I think it would be kind of safe to say that Sonetta is responsible for a lot of this, because he bring a lot of them on to spread that information. You know what I mean? And he has a larger platform, but I was just sitting there thinking about that, like, damn, he one of the main reasons why a lot of this stuff is going around. You know what I mean? What you think about that?
Yeah, I agree. I agree, but he doesn't care as long as he gives him viewership. He's more like quantity over quality, you see. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember back then he used to have his disclaimer: the views and opinion, blah blah blah, doesn't necessarily reflect the like the stance or whatever of the HOK, which is so
Right.
funny, man. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Um, Journalists, they may invite some people, but if they disagree, they will let it be known. Journalists
Right.
don't invite convicted child molesters or people who defend convicted child molesters. Oh, hold on, there's another guest here. Oh, the MF. Good. Let me put you on. Hold on.
Hey,
And
greetings.
journalists don't invite people who are, anti-Africans. People who say that they hate Africans and stuff like that.
Right.
But yeah, he has a responsibility, and indeed, he's not the only one who has two pseudo people on his panel. But he probably that's been going on for years. And a
Yeah.
lot of time he agrees with the pseudo stuff. Like when he had Walter Williams on talking about the meta has not been deciphered. You know,
Yep.
I had played that part where he actually said, I think I played it where he said, "What?" But somebody he was talking with somebody said, "But you can, he hasn't been deciphered," or something like that. I'm paraphrasing. I mean,
Yeah.
but let's hear from Dredson. Feel free to speak.
Hey, can you hear me? Is the audio working?
Yeah, loud and clear. Feel free.
Perfect. So I noticed you were talking about Israelites, Moors, and et cetera, going down the list. And one of the things that I see as kind of a common theme is Black people or African descended people, or whether we're descended of natives, whatever you choose to identify as. I think that's the issue, is that so many of us are just desperate or maybe yearning to fill some kind of a void, like we got our collective identities scrambled in such a way that we are reaching for anything and everything that feels good or sounds good for the moment, and people can put on whatever title they want to put on. So then when it comes to Nation of Islam or Five Percenters or Hebrew Israelites or Moors, I mean, it's you step out of one organized religion into another, or you step out of one doctrine into another, and as soon as you get into a doctrine, it's limiting. You're automatically limited because now you have to accept all the bullet points of that doctrine. You have to accept all the precepts and concepts of that doctrine, and it really cuts you off from having a really meaningful conversation because now you're just kind of stuck in one way of thinking, and it removes you from the greater conversations that are happening in society, and it kind of removes you from the greater movements happening in humanity in general. I mean, we got to look at the bigger picture, and I say both things, that at least at bare minimum, these groups are giving Black people a sense of belonging, identity, and unity, all the stuff that we all want and need. But at the same time, it's attached to so much, as you say, pseudo science or linguistic acrobatics or misinformation. It has to be all mismatched together. And that's kind of my frustration, is that we're all looking for something. We all want to belong to something. We all want something to believe in bigger than ourselves, but at the same time, at what cost? You know, that's my biggest question for anybody that belongs to any one of these groups. When it comes to your day-to-day life or your day-to-day expression or experience, how does it benefit you and your community? And we see some direct examples of these groups that do, coat drives, book drives, community outreach. They do that work in the community, and they're recruiting, they're getting members, and like I said, at the same time though, it has to be attached to some religious doctrine or some historical narrative or almost scientific narrative that has a bit of truth in it. So it feels good, it looks right, so it's easy to run with. But at the same time, it's kind of frustrating. And when you get in conversations with these people, you can tell real quick where the conversation is going to stop. Because if you start asking direct questions or ask them to verify some of the stuff, and I think when you're talking about esoteric information as compared to historic information, so that was one of the examples you made about the arm, leg, arm, head, and Allah, and master, able, and noble, and I, self, law, and master. All that stuff was made as like teaching tools. So it's not a linguistic error, I would say. It's more of a teaching tool to, like you said, it's to reach people where they are. So if you got people in the 1920s, which I think was around the time Noble Drew Ali was putting out his message, a big percentage of people were borderline illiterate. And I believe also during that time, it wasn't good to be associated with Africa. The public image of Africa was one of degradation and savagery, and it was still, a very negative connotation to be linked to Africa in any way. So I think that's part of the reason why people started saying the Asiatic black man, as opposed to just saying African black man or Aboriginal black man. I don't know why they came up with Asiatic, but I say all that to say it's a winding road. And at least I appreciate the fact that you're having the conversation and challenging people to at least reevaluate what doctrine it is that they're beholden to and what pseudoscience it is that they're jumping on.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I missed the last few seconds you were saying, but I don't see the unity. You mentioned that there's unity with what they do, and sometimes they may do like some barbecue stuff or cookout, whatever, but that's just for front, because if you're in here raping girls and protecting rapists of girls, child molesters, it's not like because you pass like turkeys or whatever that's gonna make up for it. But yeah, Drew Ali started his movement in 1913. I think first it was called like Canaanite Temple, something like that. But eventually we had the MSTA, the First Temple of America. Now, if back then, 100 years ago, people did not feel like being associated with Africa because of the propaganda, I can understand. But a century later, we're supposed to know better. You see? What matters is, even if people have a particular religion, that's one thing. To have a religion is one thing. But to make those pseudo claims that we hear all the time, like for example, have you heard the guy called Tahuti saying that he saw Malachi York change shape and reduce to the size of an 8-year-old boy? Have you seen that one?
Yeah, I saw that video.
What do you think about that statement?
I mean, that it's fun to believe in. It's fun to talk. It's fun to talk about aliens, like whether you believe in aliens or not. That's why it's in movies, because it's entertainment.
But you know he didn't talk about aliens, right? He talked about Malachi York, who is a human being.
Well, yeah, I guess I put that all in the same boat. You know what I mean? Like if you want to talk about aliens or human beings shape shifting on Earth, or a man turning into the body of an 8-year-old child, or his height changing multiple times, all that stuff, to me, you put all that stuff in the same category. It's fun to talk about. It's fun to believe, but what I can say is the man didn't look like he was having fun when he was talking about it. He looked like he was very serious. And but to me, it's just a matter of, I try to divide my studies into either esoteric or historic. And when it comes to the esoteric or metaphysical stuff, you just you have to have a certain perspective to see it for what it is, acknowledge it for what it is, but don't let it control you or completely shape your mind or change how you function day to day. Some of it you can apply, but you really have to be careful, because as soon as you get into the metaphysics and esoteric, it's a slippery slope. And most people slide down that slope all the way into shapeshifters and extraterrestrials and some of the stuff you mentioned about Bobby Hemmett. If you're listening to Bobby Hemmett, that's one source where you're gonna get some history, you're gonna get some esoterics, you're gonna get some metaphysics, you're gonna get some information mixed in with other stuff, and you just got to be careful. You got to be real careful. But most people don't have that level. I'm not gonna say most people, but from what I can see, people are not applying that level of critical thinking, or they're not taking a scholarly approach and challenging the information. They just kind of accept it. And but yeah, I don't think anybody is shapeshifting. I don't think any man changed to the shape of an 8-year-old kid. But I think if you want to talk about that
You
stuff,
you just reassured me right now.
huh?
You just reassured me right now, because I was wondering, like, does he believe that?
No. I'll say outright, I don't believe in that stuff. I believe in nature, and I believe in what I see day to day, and I believe in doing the work inside of myself, to cultivate a better experience every day. I believe in doing that work in my family, and then in a little bit
But
bigger
can I
outreach
ask you?
to my community.
Can I ask you, like, do you deal with metaphysics?
In a borderline level, like I'm aware of it, I'm adjacent to it, I see it, and I think it's interesting to study, but at the same time, it's kind of like a nice thing to have on the shelf and look at.
All right. Well, Jeheru, feel free if you want to add on, brother.
Yeah, I was muted out. I had got kind of busy. But yeah, I like a lot of what the guy said, man. A lot of what he's saying makes sense, because you know these different groups, man, they have some things that kind of sort of pull you in. Like you say, they do some of the food drives, clothes drives, and cookouts and different things like that. But it's at its core, it's under a false pretense, false history, false doctrine, dangerous doctrine, that's divides people, and it's just there's no really unity, when it comes to it, because each different group has a different doctrine. Most likely, one group doesn't agree with the other one for whatever reason, and it's like, how are we going to come together under that? You know what I mean? And a lot of times, it's mainly because you got one group that's telling a lie and another group that's telling a different lie, and the two opposing groups don't agree on the lies that they told. So, I mean, I just feel like, we should, if we're gonna come together on truth, things that we can
Yeah,
substantiate,
untrue.
things that we can prove, leave all of that other stuff alone, man. I mean, because at the end of the day, see, sometimes I heard the brother, he was talking about, metaphysical stuff and stuff like that. And I used to get into some of that stuff, but at the same time, you have to know the difference. Don't think that that's just like, I'll bring up a name, Bobby Hemmett. I used to listen to him for a little while, and I would listen just to hear what he had to say. Now, I'm not anybody in their right mind. You're not gonna believe that stuff. I mean, you can clearly see he making some things up now. You know what I'm saying? But see, metaphysical teaching and allegorical stuff, from my understanding anyway, um, that stuff is usually used to explain something that's more complicated to like a child or somebody who can't quite comprehend or grasp on. You shouldn't have to use that for adults. You use that for children. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's that saying? They say tricks are for kids. Like, I mean, come on now. Once we get to a certain age, we ought to be at a certain mindset to be able to at least understand things on a basic level. You know what I mean? But when a person is not able to explain something the way that it needs to be explained, or they know it's a lie and they got to make up something to try to get people in, and they end up with all this metaphysical, all of this, different stuff. People making up stuff, man. I mean, it's that's what has us divided. At the end of the day, like all that stuff has got us divided because we're basically in these different groups, you know, trying to stand on a lie. And look where it has got us. This is what I see somebody say Phil Valentine. Yeah, I couldn't, man. Listen, I used to listen to Phil, man, but sometimes look, he would lose me. You know what I mean? I used to this one of my former coworkers, man. Me and him used to kind of talk about Phil Valentine a little bit, and to a certain extent, some things that I would listen to, okay, it sound all right, but then when he started going way off in the clouds and in the cosmos, man, I'm done. Look, that's it for me. You know what I'm saying? I can't. That's way. It's
I
not
feel
relatable to me.
I feel the same way, but I must say that when I saw his lecture about the wounded womb, I was like, hey, that's all right. He was down to earth. You know,
Hmm.
but how do you brothers feel about Sabir Bey taking pictures in front of the statue of Ibn Khaldun? Now I don't know if you're familiar with Ibn Khaldun, but I've shown some of his quotes. He was basically saying that black people are similar to dumb animals. Black people cannot be considered human beings, and quotes like that. And the book is Mukaddima. It's known as another. Come on, man. It's known as another name, but well, have you ever heard about Ibn Khaldun anyway? Have any of you brothers ever heard about it?
Yeah, briefly. What was Sabir Bey's objective in taking the photo, or what was his goal? Was he trying to? Is this one of those things where he was saying that was one of the Black Moors, or what was his point
Well,
in taking that
he
picture?
actually he actually said that, you know he showed the depiction of him which was obviously white because that's what the dude was. He was from Tunisia, and in Tunisia, people have been white for I don't know how many centuries. And same for Morocco and Nigeria. Morocco, obviously, them are, dark skin. Some of those women, sometimes you see them, they look black. Because you can't even Morocco, yes, you can see that, you know what I'm saying? But the majority, they're just white skin like all the other. You say, okay, he was an Arab, but you have to understand that, like I'm saying, Arabs are us. The opinion see. So him taking the picture at you is basically he's proud of it because he feels like this was a great man. And he went on to say Mark Zuckerberg still studies him. Now, Mark Zuckerberg, I don't know his ethnic background or religious background, but I'm pretty sure that Mark Zuckerberg will not study somebody that says that white people cannot be considered human beings,
Well, that reminds me of
So
like Gandhi. It reminds me of people taking pictures in
yeah,
front of Gandhi or
and that's a good
statues.
example because Gandhi, they brought down his statue in Ghana. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people don't know that Gandhi was negrophobic.
Yeah.
Particularly when he was young. But when I say young, he was an adult. I don't even remember if he was a lawyer, but he was. That's when he was an adult. And when I brought up the fact that Ibn Khaldun was racist, then Sabir said, you sound stupid. You sound like a butthole. And he said, he didn't use the word black. So I asked him what word did he use. He wouldn't say. And he said, you need to look up who did the translation. So that's actually
All
what
of that
happened. But
sounds like
go ahead.
based on the way he responded to you, it sounds like cognitive dissonance in real time. Like I mean, here's the thing: if you believe, and I can kind of understand where Sabir Bey is coming from because we had a lot of elders and teachers told us, there were Moors by Arab names that are actually black because the modern mainstream historians wanted to hide it. The Eurocentric European scholars wanted to change the identity of Moors. So there a lot of that. That narrative is being
but
pushed.
that's a hoax, though. That's a
Right.
like I'm
So
not the only one who
underneath,
said it. Yeah.
right. So underneath that, I think he's one of the ones that's kind of desperate to make that narrative work. So even though you presented him with a fact that the man was racist, and to me, that fact is enough for me to leave that man alone and say I don't really need any of his other teachings. I don't need to go take a picture in front of his statue. That fact for me is enough. But Sabir Bey has his whole identity. That's literally what Moors are talking about is identity. His identity is foundational on this man's character and one of these personages of a Moor that he says is black. So if you take that away from him, what does he have left? And in the moment that he's confronted with that, I think it would take a lot for him to look deep inside of himself and say, you know what? Maybe I need to move on from this part of the doctrine. He doesn't have to stop being a Moor or give up his fez, but at minimum, he should be able to look at that piece of information and let that go.
I mean, for a guy who claims to be a researcher,
but I mean, I wish I could have. I would like to have that conversation with him. I don't know. I'm just kind of speculating. I would.
Well, he leaves the link to his streams. He leaves the link when he streams, so I guess he'll hear you. But if you disagree with him, good luck. Ibn Khaldun was not a Moor. I never heard of him describing himself as a Moor. I'm not even sure if there are some other people who describe Ibn Khaldun as a Moor. And I'm talking about from the time period, not just like in the 80s or the 90s. And Indeed, when it comes to so-called identity / nationality, he actually said that he has some paper where he wrote what his nationality was, but that's some made up stuff. You know what I'm saying? On his passport nationality field, it does say United States of America. So that's the nationality, because they like to be high and mighty, act like, oh, you guys, you're not free. You know what I'm saying? You guys don't have they talk about names and titles, and they basically act like if you don't have a nationality, like if you're not a Moor, then you are somehow, some way, some sort of slave and blah blah blah. But the reality is that they have the same nationality as Black Americans, which is, you know, United States. Well, at least in the passport nationality field, because obviously an inhabitant of America would say he's American. But as far as what it says on the passport nationality field is United States of America. You know, if it was recognized, you know, other countries will recognize any other claim that they have. You know.
From what I can
So for
tell,
a
they
guy who
usually
claimed
just
to
get
be
in
a
trouble in
researcher
court.
and to pose in front of the picture of a negrophobic person, a white supremacist, to me that's horrible and irresponsible. You know, like, I mean, what worse can you do? You know, what can you do that's worse than that? To be a black man, a man of African descent. I know, I understand the Moors don't like the word black, but funny thing is that Moor means black anyway. At one point, he meant black. You know. Walpunk wrote that Gandhi grew up in South Africa and was part of apartheid. Yeah, he fought, you know, and even if he didn't fight, his statements is there, his writing is there, you know, labeling black people, you know, kafir, which is a derogatory term, and yeah, but you know, feel free to add on, brothers. I mean, to me, that's just, and plus he said that he's, when I spoke to him like a few days ago, he said it's the first time he heard of Cleopatra being Greek. The dude didn't even know that Cleopatra was Greek, man. So they're basically teaching misinformation to the people, you know. I mean, it's not even deep at this point. It's like basic stuff, you know. And the Israelites as well. And it's not the only one who's teaching pseudo stuff. The Hebrew Israelites, you know, they came up with that pseudo 12 tribe chart. Black Muslims like NOR members, like Dr. Wesley Muhammad talking about Prophet Muhammad was black and the Arabs of the 7th century were black. It's like, if whether it is like people with no credentials or even some people in academia, you know, like Dr. Wesley Muhammad and Dr. Manish, Dana Manish, you know what I'm saying? She's trying to do ethnography or anthropology using theology, using the Bible and the Quran, and that's in the title of her book, you know what I'm saying? And she's been doing that for years. I just learned recently that she earned her PhD. And at this point, I'm like, man, you guys need, but it's okay. What can we do? You know, what can we do? They continue to repeat lies, and we and at least I have to continue repeating the truth. But what's noticeable is that we have this so-called conscious community, and they're the one teaching the weirdest stuff. Not only making excuses for rapists and child molesters, but teaching pseudo stuff. And if you look at non-black people, I'm not aware of any of their kind who have so much pseudo stuff spread, you know?
Yeah, they do. I mean that, but theirs is more. Theirs is more in the political
Give me some
arena.
example, please. Give me some example, please.
Well, theirs is more in the political arena. So if you start
Yeah,
looking at the,
but you cannot be pseudo in politics, because you know politics is a matter of opinion and law. You know what I'm saying? Society. It's not about teaching history or, you know, biology and anthropology and stuff like that.
they take misinformation from biology and history and anthropology and use it to push their policies and their own political agendas. Though that does happen.
Well, give me an example, please.
From a long time ago, I mean, during the civil rights movement, there was
No. Let's deal with today. Let's deal with the present. You know, because we're aware of the racist views that were prevalent, but now civil rights is not even an issue.
So if
Like
you so now if you look at the problem that they're having with history books, I think that's one example of some racism that still exists and some racist ideologies that exist where one half is having a problem with the history books and the other half is having a problem with what's being taught in school in terms of what actually happened in history and who was actually committing the racist acts or I think there's a lot of disagreement there. That's one of the political points. I
we,
don't
we
like.
don't we don't we don't have anything pseudo, do we?
What do you mean?
Well, maybe it's a misunderstanding, but I thought you were saying that in politics, like today is when I was saying we don't have other group of people like non-blacks who have so much pseudo stuff, and you said yes they do, and I'm not aware of it. I'm not aware of like
Well, so
Europeans. Yeah.
COVID is another topic where, and when you say pseudo, I just group that in with misinformation. So if you start talking
Well,
about COVID, it
oh, I get it. I get
automatically
it. Okay,
becomes
okay, I get it. But
political.
but but okay. So well, the COVID is sensitive because there was a pandemic, so there was little time to act. So they came up with that vaccine that I personally took for the record. And if people don't want to take it, I'm fine. I'm like, hey, do you. But I've seen many people disrespecting the individuals who took the vaccines, you know. And I think, if people don't want to take it, it's fine. If people want to take it, then it's fine.
Right. I
Earth.
guess to me those are
Yeah,
examples.
go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
If you look at COVID, if you look at the history books, the curriculum in history classes, if you look at just the economy, food shortages, any type of information that's on the news now in the mainstream media, if you look at both sides of the argument, both sides of the argument are going to have their own propaganda or talking points. And to me, that's where you get into the realm of pseudoscience, because they'll use both sides of the argument can pull up some study from some school or some scientist, and that's where it starts to get pseudo, and they'll use a seemingly scientific article to prove their point. And but
But
I do
hold on,
agree
hold
with
on.
you.
I'm sorry because it was buffering on my end, so I missed a few of what you said. Are you of the opinion that the vaccine is pseudo? I mean the
No,
COVID vaccine.
I'm of the opinion that people on both sides of the argument use pseudoscience to prove their point.
But let me ask you about the doctors. The medical doctors, are they using pseudo arguments regarding the COVID?
Some of the doctors, yes,
Yes,
because
some of them.
some doctors are being funded by people who have a certain agenda or a certain message. So that's why if you Google, Google is not very reliable, but if you Google any argument, you can find just as many articles from doctors on both sides of the argument. That's what's problematic when you're trying to do research, is that the pseudoscience is there right beside the real science, and you have to do a lot more digging to get your own information, or you just leave it alone and decide how you feel. But those are more modern examples of people using pseudoscience in the political realm. But I do understand your initial question, where Black people are struggling with identity, culture. Are we Moors, Israelites, Hebrew, all these other labels? No, other people are not having that struggle. So
Yeah, but you see here, um, I kind of disagree. If we're saying, okay, we're struggling with our identity, yes, we know what happened to us. It's a reality. But we have black scholars, we have black scientists, we have black people, deal with medicine. There's no reason for us to be pseudo.
that's a
And,
fact.
there's really no reason, like in this so-called information era. Hold on, I'm gonna put my, hold on.
Hey, I hate to do this.
Just
I got to jump. It's been a good talk though, man. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate your time. I gotta go. Peace.
Hey, I'm still here.
Hold on. I'll be right. Oh, he had to go. Okay. I'll be right back. Hold on.
All right.
Andy. Can you hear me?
It's got a little bit of an echo.
Okay. I think there's two of me here. I know. What is it that my camera doesn't show? Okay. Well, let me mute myself. Now, my webcam doesn't work, right?
Nah, it's just black screen.
No. Why is it? I really don't like that stuff. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you, Shock.
Oh, okay, great. Well, sorry, I don't know what happened, but yeah, I think the
Yeah,
brother
man.
said he had to leave. But
It's pseudo internet, man.
but you see the way, yeah. Well, the way I see it,
Mm-hmm.
some people have an interest in teaching those stuff. They don't care if it's reliable or not because it's a hustle. I don't mind people making a living by teaching information. It just needs to be accurate, not perfect, but just accurate. And
Right.
sometimes they will use the argument, oh, all these things happened to us over the years, and you know what I'm saying? We're just getting back on our feet, blah, blah, blah. I'm paraphrasing, but I'm like, come on, man. There's no reason to teach that, somebody to claim that he saw a person shift, shape shift, and he's an adult and he had the shape of an 8-year-old boy. People claiming that we are Israelites. There's no evidence whatsoever that Black Americans are Israelite. That 12 tribe chart is made up, praising some white supremacists. You know what I'm saying? And those guys, they make a living out of this. So they are in cahoots. They are in cahoots. They want to legitimize, them teaching to the people, doing all these events. Now it's more online. But back then it was events where people will meet in different venues. You know what I'm saying?
What's up?
And yeah, like Texas Bama said, I agree. They're like moles because for them it's just a hustle. It's just a hustle. Never mind what they've been teaching.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, when is it gonna stop? When is it gonna
Exactly, man.
stop?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
earlier, I remember earlier you was asking the guy about, other non-black groups like spreading pseudo information. I could give one example. I don't have a whole lot of them because I don't really follow too many other groups like that. But this is in relation to like religion and the Bible, right? I don't know if you ever ran across them before, but there's a channel on YouTube, and they actually have a couple books out, and they got a website and everything. But it's called Answers in Genesis. And what these guys
Yeah,
are doing,
but what are they saying? Because
what
if
they're
they are
doing
sticking to the
is
religion, I'm like, okay, you know.
no.
But
Well, see, here's the problem. Here's the problem.
yeah,
They are using genetics to to try to validate the biblical narrative. They're saying that they can trace people. They can trace people all the way back to the biblical Adam and Eve. Yeah, they're doing it. They got books out on that
yeah,
stuff.
which is straight BS. There's no way to have DNA of Adam and Eve. You know what I'm saying? You don't have DNA of people. You know, 6,000 years ago. If we go with the Jewish calendar, you know what I'm saying? But those guys, we don't hear about them. Do we? Because
Exactly.
those people. Yeah, you see. So anybody can create a website. Anybody can write a book. So you have some people with some funny claims. We have the guy David Icke who talks about reptilians, talking about the British royal family. They are reptilians, and they needed Princess Diana to breed or whatever. They needed basically a full human to breed. And
Right.
I mean that guy has followers, to the teeth and all that. But we know he's pseudo. But us, we have those guys who are labeled scholars talking about they are doing the work. You know what I'm saying? They are doing the work. And they've been making a living teaching some of the most pseudo stuff ever. And even if they don't go into the metaphysics, even when it comes to history, I mean, I can understand, okay, at some point people believe that they were dealing with black people when we talk about morals. They thought that Tariq was black and all that. But then, once again, like, how many years would it take for people to come to terms with the reality? Like all these guys, like from 1913, we have the Moorish Science Temple of America, Noble Drew Ali's teachings. And I've been asking people to show some black Moorish rulers. If there was some validity, we will see those depictions, you know what I'm saying, by the hundreds. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the reality is that the Hebrew Israelites, whether they are GMSI, CPK, FOP, all those groups that are too numerous to name. The One West, whatever the F they're dealing with, the 12 tribe chart conspiracy theories, the Moors, the Nation of Islam teaching that, those who teach that Prophet Muhammad was black, because Elijah Muhammad didn't teach that. He clearly said he was white. Farrakhan clearly said that he was white. Now that they come to realize, okay, that's not accurate, why don't they have the integrity to just say, okay, it was inaccurate? So they are dishonest. It is on purpose. It's no longer, oh, I didn't know. They know, but they are dishonest. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But anyway, I want to thank you all for being there. I don't know if I'll go live tonight, but definitely Saturday, there's the giveaway. And if people want to get a chance to win a free hat, then if you go on my community timeline, you have the link to register. But I'll definitely be live streaming the latest on Saturday. But please, brothers and sisters, tell all these groups that if they think their information is accurate, then they can holler at me. Because that pseudo stuff, man, it has to come to an end. And if I have to be the one to bring it to an end and get the hate of these different groups because they cannot hold their own, then so be it, man. But I'm more than tired, man. I'm more than tired. I don't want my children growing up hearing all this pseudo stuff, man. So thank you, Jeheru. Thank you, Texas Bama. Love me, Fro, Wab Funk, Storm, and Imhotep University TV, Andrew Brunet. Thank you to all the regular callers. Stay safe, stay healthy. If I'm allowed to by the next year, I will definitely holler back at you. I don't argue, I said fast. If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. Do I too, do I next year? Hotep.